Intersquad scrimmage highlights, and Terry McLaurin and Adam Peters spotted talking on the sideline together. It was a movie in Ashburn today. Let's talk about it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We have a quick YouTube video for you guys today, just giving you the latest and greatest training camp updates for our Washington Commanders coming out of training camp. To give you a timestamp, today is Tuesday, August the 12th, 2026, and the Commanders conducted their inter-squad scrimmage. Now, we touched bases on it when Dan Quinn brought it up yesterday, mentioning that yesterday's practice was a jog-through and that they were prepping up for today's inter-squad scrimmage. I was like, an inter-squad scrimmage in the NFL in 2025? You know, playing high school football and things of that nature, Little League. I'm so used to inter-squad scrimmages, but I'm not familiar with the concept in the NFL. So I was excited to see what today brought. I also have a theory that I know that Dan Quinn said that he had planned this weeks out when he saw the preseason schedule. But I have a theory that once he saw us getting built to ass put to us in New England, up in Foxborough, he said, oh no, we got to put these guys in as many game-like situations as possible. So I don't know how, the layout of practice went and the layout of the team inter-squad scrimmage, but I wanted to see if they were going to implement kickoff coverage and special team coverages, because if you watch the game on Friday, you do not have to be the ultimate ball knower to know that was piss poor special teams, from the missed kick, from the kickoff coverage to the punt coverage. It just was all bad. So I'm excited to see what came out of Ashburn today. And I heard we got some news. on the guy that I actually dropped a video on. If you guys haven't checked out the video that I dropped a couple of hours ago, maybe 12 hours ago, I told you about Terry McLaurin. Months ago. So I had to go run my victory lap. And before we get too deep into this video, check that one out. And then don't forget to flood this comment section, smash the like button, and smash the subscribe button. But without further ado, man, let's get into all of the partakings coming out of Ashburn today. So we always start with our pre-practice press conference from our guy DQ, from our guy Dan Quinn. And he started with the injury runoff that he told us that he was going to do yesterday. He said he was going to let us know about everybody injury status as far as if they were going to be available for the scrimmage and how they were going to maneuver for the rest of the week and so on and so forth. For the guys that were out of today's inter-squad scrimmage was right guard Sam Cosmi, which is expected, Brandon Coleman, Noah Brown, Terry McLaurin, which was expected as well, Marcus Mariota, Jordan McGee, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Jonathan Jones, Bobby Price. So I've talked a lot about the second-year players in my last couple of episodes in the last couple of days, where I've said that, while I'm cautious about how the second-year players, Brandon Coleman, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, and Jordan McGee, are going to recover, and I'm looking to see how long they're going to be on the mend, because these are all three guys that, while at different levels and some more drastic than others, these are all three guys that had their rookie seasons derailed by injury by some sort. They all had their rookie season derailed by injury by some sort. So to see that these guys are missing reps in their second training camp when they're supposed to be getting even more acclimated into the league isn't a positive sign. So I'm not going to go too deep into those guys, pause. But the two names that I want to talk about more extensively today is, when did Jonathan Jones get hurt? I know he participated in the game the other day, so I was curious to see when he got hurt, or I'm curious to see when he got hurt. I'm curious to see any follow-ups on that. And do you guys know when we plan on wrapping up Noah Brown? Noah Brown is going to have to play real football at some point. Noah Brown was out there doing the individuals when I was out there the first week of training camp, boots on the ground in Ashburn 2 weeks ago, but he didn't participate in the 7-on-7s. He didn't participate in the 11-on-11s, and it seems like he's still following that protocol. Now, I don't want to rush anybody out there, but this is a guy, Noah Brown, that, while talented and coming off of a strong season, it was another season that he didn't finish. And that's been the story for every season of Noah Brown's NFL career, and even some of his college career as well. So I'm just like I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical because we heard about the injury that he suffered during the mandatory minicamp session during phase 2 of the offseason workouts. And to see that he's not fully recovered by that injury that was almost 3 months ago, and we're still bringing him along slow. I know they have a plan, so I'm not necessarily questioning it, but it's something to keep our eye out for because they talked about for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, we're ramping Noah up. We're ramping Noah up. He wasn't placed on the PUP list, and it would have been a cap, an imaginary pup like Terry McLaurin. He wasn't placed on any short-term IRs or anything like that. So he's holding up a roster spot. So I hope that he can get out there and participate. Dan Quinn said that there is no update on Terry McLaurin. Not expected because if you check out my YouTube video from yesterday, I told you exactly how this is going to go. Scott Abraham said, fantasy football managers rejoice. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn just said, I've been impressed with what I've seen from Jalen Lane in the slot. Yeah, it seems like ever since week 2 of training camp, Jalen Lane's name has skyrocketed. Like fantasy managers stocked up on Jalen Lane for sure. I can verify Scott Abraham's tweets right now. I can verify his claims because Jalen Lane is the type of athlete. If you look at his athletic comp, his raw athletic score numbers, his closest athletic comp is Tyreek Hill. And I said on Friday, my biggest letdown from the game, yeah, we lost by 30 points. We got belt to ass to put to us. And, it's preseason, so I'm not going to crash out over a preseason game. But my biggest letdown is that Sam Hartman looked like a Geico insurance agent. And with that being the fact, he wasn't able to get the ball in Jalen Lane's hands, so I can see what Jalen Lane can do with the ball in his hands. Because even if you can see what he did on his punt returns, though he didn't break anything big, he didn't break any long returns or anything of that nature, but he showed his decisiveness. He's not willing to take a fair catch, and he showed his explosiveness on even those 3 and 5 yard punt returns. He showed a level of athlete that we haven't seen with the ball in his hands, in quite a while. So to hear that Dan Quinn is following up what Cliff Kingsbury said last week when he said he loved Jalen Lane, he didn't know he could run the full route tree. If you want to win your fantasy league, draft Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt and Jalen Lane. Some unheralded gems on one of the best offenses in the NFL, or so I think. I don't know about after reading some of these reports from Kent, but I'm trying not to crash out. We're trying to woo up. Let's see everything else that came out of camp or Dan Quinn's press conference. Dan Quinn said what unintended consequence of not having McLaurin on the field is that it meant more time for Debo Samuel and Jaden Daniels to connect. Quinn called it a silver lining. Yes, definitely a silver lining for sure. Debo and Jaden seem to make a play every time that they're out there on the field together. And, while Terry McLaurin's out here holding out, while I don't want to go into a season with Debo Samuel as my alpha wide receiver 1A, it might not be as bad as I thought it was 2 months ago when we made the Debo Samuel signing. Now, I'm not saying that Debo Samuel's a bad player by any means, but he's never, even at the peak of his powers, he's never been a conventional X wide receiver lineup to beat your cornerback 1. He's never been that type of guy. So you're definitely going to have a more concentrated, manufactured touch type offense with a guy like Debo Samuel as your primary playmaker on the outside. But to hear that he's doing more conventional wide receiver work with the Commanders, I'm not necessarily surprised because Jaden Daniels is the type of quarterback that's going to elevate your game and elevate you in the heights that you might not even thought that you could reach in certain aspects of your game. So just to hear that Debo is winning as a traditional wide receiver, running post corners, running sluggos and things of that nature, we haven't necessarily seen that from Debo outside of early in his career, maybe. But, in his Kyle Shanahan's offense, they run about 3 routes. So to hear that he's unlocking his game to even another level later in his career with Jaden Daniels is something that's positive to hear because, I don't want to go into a season with Debo Samuel as my wide receiver 1. Every day that goes by without Terry McLaurin signing the contract, it's looking more and more possible like that might happen. Quinn said the offensive play callers will be Tavita Pritchett and Brian Johnson. The defensive play callers will be Tony Donatello and Jason Simmons. Like yesterday in his press conference, he said yesterday, Dan Quinn said that he's going to have to start preparing for succession plans. They told me that he plans on having a successful season. So go ahead and book those playoff tickets now. And he plans on people not returning a part of his coaching staff, which was unlike this offseason. So he's getting out. He's having an exit plan for when Cliff Kingsbury leaves, when Joe Witt possibly leaves. And he's giving these guys a chance to audition and pull out their best stuff. Pause. Whoa. That was even crazier than when I said it yesterday. I haven't found an alternative. Lack of better term, pull out their best stuff. But, they're getting a chance to show off, and we're going to see who dragged their nuts on who today. Was it Tavita Pritchard in the offense against Brian Johnson, or is it Tavita Pritchard and his offense against Brian Johnson? Yeah, I think that's what's happening. We're going to see. We're going to see who won that big boy OC job next year when Cliff Kingsbury is in Dallas. You ain't hear that from me, though. Dan Quinn said he felt an energy from the coaches because of today's practice. To see the excitement from them, that's what I was most excited for. Quinn said they will work situations in the second and fourth quarters and will have officials. So just going along with the game-like theme, I would want my coaches to bring energy every day, but to hear that it's a different type of day and them getting prepared for the season, game day is totally different from a practice. So we handling this like a game, hearing them souped up. I know the NFL try and ban some smelling salts. I know Cliff had about 3 of them this morning. Joe Witt had about 6. Had to wake that eye up. Had to wake that eye up. Witt had to wake that lazy eye up, that McGrady eye. QB's out warming up, fully padded. So we see that it's a burgundy and gold scrimmage, guys, but the quarterbacks are the only guys donning gold jerseys. It's more like a burgundy on white scrimmage. And look who it is. Look who it is in the shadows. Terry McLaurin walking with a hoodie on his head like he don't want to be seen at practice. This is one of the few times I've seen him on the field when there haven't been fans. So we can't say that this is a contract negotiation ploy. I have my theories, though. I have my thoughts. I think that Terry might have been out there. Great guy, model citizen, the wide receiver one that you want to have, because up until this point, he hasn't caused any drama with the Washington organization. But I have a theory. I might be reaching, but it wouldn't be the first time that I reached and caught something. I think that Terry McLaurin went out there today plotting on his colleagues' downfall, plotting on that wide receiver room's downfall. Now he doesn't have to pray much, because we've heard the reports coming out of camp outside of guys named Jalen Lane and Debo Samuel. It's been rough. And then we saw the training camp. We saw the preseason matchup against the New England Patriots. It was bad. It was horrible. Guys dropping passes left and right. I know I went on, Sam Hartman cosplaying as Jake from State Farm, but his receivers didn't do him any favors. And I know Terry was out there doing a Birdman hand rub when he heard we were going to have that inter-squad scrimmage today. Because he, like me at this point, expected everybody outside of Jalen Lane and Debo Samuel to not show up. So let's see if they did. Marcus Mariota out on the field in hoodies and sweatpants. It's become a familiar sight. Mentioned yesterday, Dan Quinn did seem a little concerned when talking about Marcus Mariota and his injuries. He did. So that's something to definitely watch out for. Another image of Terry McLaurin out on the field. There you go, scheming. Look, scheming. He like Chris Moore. Watch Chris Moore about to drop this pass. I seen him do it all summer. Terry's wild. Terry is wild. Can we get to some of the on-field? Sam Cosmi out there. So the lights was out. The lights were out. Maybe the injured guys had to be out there because it was a game. They're usually out there supporting their guys on Sunday if they're able to stand on 2 feet. So maybe Dan required them to be out there or requested that they were out there because it's a game. I'm just reaching for straws at this point. Guys stretching. Some more guys stretching. Now feel dirty. All right, on field doing. Shout out my guy Linnell Winningham. Hey, y'all see what y'all want about Linnell. Linnell don't give a damn when them Commander PR members are running around telling them to stop filming practice. Linnell going to get his shit off, and shout out to him. Young man. What he said? What do he call himself? The youngest in charge? You know how them YNs do. They don't care. They don't care. So he said first team D-line versus first team O-line is what it looks like. Really good opportunity to evaluate guys. Teams will be limited for me. Post-practice, we'll have the Nuggets. All right, so I just glazed Linnell for no reason. Is that? All right, there we go. There we go. I knew you were gonna come through, Nelly Nell. Luke Debo and Jalen Lane starting wide receivers with the Burgundy team. Looks like the first team offense. Is this gonna be our wide receiver trio come week 1? Because all eyes are on Terry, but Noah Brown ain't out there either. And I do not feel confident in Luke McCaffrey out there as a boundary wide receiver. Go look at the very few practice reps that were pushed out of New England in that joint practice session. Luke was out there running big extra plug ass routes. He got a release package like me at 30. Not the one I had at 18. I was a little shifty. You know how sticky it gets. Luke, I really tried to refrain from calling Luke a Nepo baby. But it's treading, it's teetering in that territory. It's teetering in that territory. But I have full faith in Debo Lane and Jalen. Debo Lane, Jalen Lane and Debo Samuel. Only concern I have is how they're going to mesh, because I know that Cliff said that Jalen Lane can run the entire route tree, but these guys are 2 wide receivers that you want to manufacture touches for. You want to get on jet sweeps. You want to put in motion to undress the defense, manipulate the defense, and you don't want to have too much redundancy of that in your offense. So we get bags. We still doing the bags. DQ gonna do them bags, boy. Ain't he? Oh my God. What the hell is this? Terry McLaurin and Adam Peters talking on the sideline. That's a first. I almost dropped my phone when I saw this. It looked like JP Finley did drop his phone before he took this picture. What the hell? Get that off your camera, JP. What is up, my guy? Get that off your camera. But I almost dropped my phone when I saw this, because we've heard all the friction and we've heard it from everybody else. We've heard it from everybody else about what the reports of what Terry's wanting and what the Commanders are ultimately offering. We've heard everything, but we haven't seen these 2 guys face to face having a conversation. And this is specifically and entirely important after, Jeremy Fowler's report last week that the relationship is fractured a bit. So to see this is big. Now, I'm not saying that it's the most encouraging sign, but it is encouraging. It's more encouraging. It has me feeling more encouraged about the situation than I felt 12 hours ago, because there was some video. If the Commanders PR didn't make them delete it. Commanders PR out there like ice. What y'all think they talking about here? Just in case they did delete the video. What do y'all think they're talking about here? Terry doesn't look too enthused. Adam Peters, hands on his hip, kind of trying to, establish his authority. Terry, hoodie still on head. Usually a respectful guy like that, militant man. I don't want to read too much into it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But to hear Laramie Tunsil is back out there after injuring himself in the practice on Sunday and going through the jog through at not 100% or didn't do everything in the jog through walkthrough session yesterday, to hear that he's back out there to start this scrimmage is a whew. I can breathe again. We got that demon back at left tackle to protect my franchise's backside. First possession for the first team offense ends in a Dorrance Armstrong sack. Dorrance Armstrong, get off my quarterback, bro. Go ahead, make your plays. Get off my quarterback, bro. But I'm glad to hear that the first team defense is making plays. And the first team offense, I'm not necessarily glad to hear that you guys is thawed out. But if there's a unit that I had more questions about going into training camp, it was definitely the defense. So I would rather hear about more good days from them because I know that your floor is only going to be but so low with Jaden Daniels as your quarterback. And we got to remember that these are training camp practices. And the reason that I said Dorrance Armstrong get off my quarterback is because he can't run. And that's one of Jaden Daniels' biggest assets. So if he can't run, how do we know? I'm glad that it was reported as a sack by Dorrance Armstrong. But how do we know that Jaden Daniels isn't scrambling for a 60-yard run? Oh, not a 60. We ain't see that last year. But a 25-yard run like we saw so many times last season. Von Miller gave Josh Conley a little welcome to the NFL on the third down with a fast pressure on Jaden. So give him a little humble pie. Giving Josh Conley a little humble pie after Josh Conley has been stacking good days. I think he had a pretty good outing against the New England Patriots. It wasn't perfect by any means, but he showed the athleticism that you direly need or you direly want at the tackle position, especially in the Cliff Kingsbury offense. But old man Von said, hold on now, youngster. Let me put you over this lap real quick. All right, here's the video that I was talking about of Terry McLaurin and Adam Peters talking. What y'all think y'all talking about? Lip readers. All my lip readers in the chat, what they talking about? I don't think it's the most negative or positive conversation. I think they just being cordial, but I don't think these guys are necessarily friends in the moment. Like, me just growing up in a black community, growing up in the South Side, Minnesota Ave, at Oil Elementary, now boom. I know what it means when a dude start moving his neck like this. I know what that means. When a dude start moving his neck like that. He trying to stop himself from headbutting. Like, nah, he trying to get his point across. So what y'all think? What y'all think they talking about in there? And then Adam Peters, just a cool, kindly guy. It's like, I'm not going to back down, Terry. Look me in my blue eyes. I'm not going to back down. Do y'all think something is close? Is a deal on the horizon? Interesting. Interesting to say the least. Y'all just make sure y'all tap into Bleeding B&G over the next couple of days just in case something does happen. Just in case this was the beginning of the snowball unraveling down the hill and turning into an avalanche by the end of the week. We'll see. Mikey just lit Luke up. Caught a pass on an underneath route. Mikey shoulder checked him, and wow. All right. But I'm tired of hearing about how Mikey Sam was still making all these plays against the Commanders when I saw Pop Douglas abusing him last week. Shout out to Mikey, though. Hell of a season last year. I just have more concerns about him transitioning to the nickelback position or back to the nickelback position, the slot corner position, than it seems as if the rest of the fan base does. Pass came a little low from JD Fowler, Ertz, incomplete pass. First team offense hasn't gotten much of anything. So maybe that's why we stopped getting all these camp reports. That's why we are getting all these updates from Linnell Willingham. Maybe that's what it is. They banished those cameras to the gulag. Because Jaden's team struggling? Oh, we not showing shit. All this Intersquad scrimmage that we hyped up? Yeah, we not showing nothing. Pretty good down low block from Cole Turner on the goal line rushing TD. Pretty good thud. And I'm pretty sure that wasn't Jaden's team. Maybe it was. They scrambling. They mixing guys up. But that probably was the Josh Johnson-led team or the Sam Hartman-led team. Because I don't imagine Cole Turner ever being on the football field with Jaden Daniels in 2025 unless we get 5 tight ends hurt. Really good open field tackle by Mikey on Debo on the 4th down. All right. Okay. Mikey Sarah still first team all Ashburn. Let's see if it translates. I needed to translate this season. He's definitely first team all Ashburn, though. He might be camp MVP so far. One thing to keep in mind about the team scrimmage, we still can't. Linnell, shout out to Linnell, touching on what I just said. Like, this offense is going to need Jaden Daniels to run, especially if Terry McLaurin isn't out there on the boundary. Especially if Terry McLaurin isn't out there on the boundary. So I know I was talking about Jalen Lane and Corey Krosky-Merritt being, unheralded gems for fantasy football. Nah, draft Jaden Daniels as early as possible. You might have to go above ADP. Prediction: Jaden Daniels finishes as the fantasy quarterback 1 and the 2025 real life football MVP. You heard it here first. Maybe second. No, you heard it here first. Duke Riley has already flashed, making a couple of nice plays, blew up the screen, physical out, thud on run fit. So Duke Riley's the guy we signed 2 days ago after trying out those 14 players, ultimately releasing Dom Hampton. And he's already made more plays in training camp than Dom Hampton in his first day out there. So to hear that he's out there in shape, didn't have to take too many days off and making plays is a positive sign. Commanders cornerback Marshawn Lattimore putting on those gloves, ready to compete. All right, we dragging the Marshawn fight thing now. You can really feel the impact of this pass rush here this AM. I'm tired of hearing about the defense. I came for the highlights. Debo with a sick release off the line versus Mikey. Jalen overthrow. That's not the highlights I was looking for. So did the Jaden Daniels led team not have any highlights? Or are we just not reporting it? Oh, my God. This is the sophomore slump they was talking about. I'm trolling. Not really, though. Pay 17, man. Pay Terry, because I don't know how much more of this shit I could take. Javon Kinlaw, yeah, we must not have did nothing. We talking about Javon Kinlaw wearing sunglasses and tassels. Yeah, offense must not have been on shit today. Yeah, this might be time to wrap up the video. I'm gonna scroll up just a little bit more. I knew Javon Kinlaw was a different dude though when he told that San Francisco 49er reporter. He said, "Your body went cold when you seen me, bro. I seen your nuts shrivel up." He told that man his nuts shriveled up. What? Nice job by another defensive highlight. Nice job by Amos turning and running with Lane. Beautiful ball from JD5. Lane has to get that. Come on, Jalen. I can't be talking you up. All right. Let's hold off on the Jalen Lane fantasy propaganda. Is that it? So we must not have made no plays today because we getting Sam Hartman highlights. Little scuffle near here between Noah. I think it's H-E-R-E, my boy. I think you went for the wrong here right there. Between Noah I and White Squad after Noah popped C-Rod, several coaches had to get involved. Bobby Wagner, y'all getting y'all ass kicked. Frankie Louvu, that's your teammate. Nah, Louvu, it's football, bro. Football back. Football is back. And I got to get hyped about something since I can't get hyped about Jay and Daniels as usual. Oh, shit. I promise y'all, I did not see this tweet. I did not see this one when I called Mikey Sanders still all Ashburn. But the gold team won, and that's not the team that Jaden Daniels was on. I don't know how to feel about that, but the gold team won and got all Ashburn shirts. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video before I crash out, before I say some things to Adam Peters that I really don't mean.